Hey guys, welcome to Talking Strongman. My guest today is Trey Mitchell, the newly crowned winner of the Shaw Classic. We should have rang ahead. We're wearing the same top, like two women. How are you doing, buddy? It's an amazing performance on the weekend. You must be so happy.
I'm so good. Good to be on the podcast or whatever.
It's great
Yeah,
to
I'm
have you
really
on.
happy.
Well, we met back in 2018.
I think, yeah, that's the first time we met in person.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
competed at the North American Open. That
hmm
that show has produced a lot of good talent.
Yeah, we got Evan and Kevin was in that competition. And he got third, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, and you were second in that one.
sure.
You've come a long way since then, mate. I mean, I won that show, and I'm very proud of it because you guys are doing amazing now. So it's quite cool to see how much you've all progressed and are doing now. This last year, I mean, you let's go to the start because we'll talk about the Shore Classic and all that kind of stuff. But
hmm
when did you start Strongman? How old are you now?
I'm 28.
28. So
Yes.
when did you get into the sport?
Uh, when I was 18, 2012, my first amateur competition was at Metroflex Houston, in January. Did the team division and won that one. And like I knew I wanted to do the team nationals, try that, and I signed up for the only other competition like that was in the Houston area at the time.
Is that the Metroflex that Ronnie Coleman used to train at?
No, he trains in Arlington.
Okay.
That's up north in Dallas, close to Dallas.
Okay.
He still trains there, I think. Not doesn't do as much, but no. Yeah. My first competition, it was Travis Ortmeyer and Josh Bisping were there to help judge, and they gave out my trophy and everything.
That's cool.
And now I get to compete with them.
Travis has had an amazing comeback, hasn't he?
Yes, sir. He had a couple of injuries, recently, but now he's more healthy and able to actually push the limits.
He's doing
And it's
good.
great, it was kind of surreal getting to compete with him the first time. I think it was in Stoke-on-Trent on the official Ultimate Strongman, I think it was called.
Oh, the
Ultimate
team,
Strongman
team
team.
competition. Yeah, you
Yes,
came
sir.
over and you and Martins
Martin.
competed together.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Were you guys second to the Lallis brothers in that?
Yeah, we were second by like a point or two. Yeah, always really close.
Yeah, I remember people saying, "Who's this guy?" And obviously, I'd had the pleasure of competing against you, so I knew how good you were. But I remember talking to the Titus Lallas, and he was like shocked at this new guy that was like challenging the top guys. It was great. And then you went to your first World's Strongest Man and pissed off everyone by knocking out Novikov on the stones.
Yeah, I wasn't going to let him win so easily, but luckily, I did beat him on the stone off. But who cares what the other people think?
It doesn't matter what other people think, mate. I mean,
Yeah,
you've steadily been getting better and better. I mean, it's very rare that someone makes the final of Worlds their first appearance. You do that. You come back a year later and you don't quite make the final.
Yeah, it was a tough heat. I had Tom Stolman and, Novikov was in the same heat, and I had Maxime Boudreau and Gavin Bilton. So it was a really tight, heat. And the first event, like they had to change it because of the weather change. We had, Farmers Walks hasn't been my best event. They had to change it to the Farmers Walk, obviously. But, I came back, 2020, that was 2021, came back and, made a bigger statement than 2019.
Well, when you look back at those names that were in that group and see what you've all gone on to do now, that's a pretty mental group.
Yeah, well, like that year, everybody was saying Group 5 was Luke Stolman and Brian Shaw and Terry Hollins. I forget who else was in the group.
Best was in there, and maybe Ivers.
Yes, I believe you're right. They were saying that was the group, the death group that year. But no, I think it was my group because we had the three best stone lifters in the, in the world.
Yeah, you had three
The,
stone lifters. You had the guys that ended up coming first and second.
yes, first and second that year, three best stone lifters. Yeah.
Hey, it's all a learning experience for
Yes, sir.
and the great thing is you do learn from it. You go away, you work hard, and you come back better. And what was it? Was it fourth this year at Worlds?
Yes, sir. I got fourth. It was by 1.5 points behind Maxime Boudreau in third place. Yeah.
And then
it was just go ahead.
Go on, sorry.
It was just like a little mistakes on my part, like the keg toss for heights. If I was a step back on my last attempt, it would have gone over. But and like I was just on the Atlas Stones, I was a 1/10 of a second behind JF Caron. He beat me by a 1/10 of a second, and it's like, but other than that, I was happy with my performance. I did well in most of the events.
You're doing amazing. I mean, a lot of people have been asking me to get you on for a while. I think now's the perfect time. This weekend, if anyone doesn't know, Trey became the winner of the second Shore Strength Classic, or the Shore Classic, which is, you don't fluke that competition. It is a brutal show. I mean, I was watching and he didn't put any easy events in there. There wasn't any events you could just think, oh, you can coast a little bit on this one. That medley looked absolutely brutal.
Yes, it was brutal. Like, especially at, that height, elevation, it was, everybody was getting gassed afterwards. There's no one that wasn't, wore out after the medley event.
It looked insane. I mean, most competitions, when there's a medley, they kind of throw a few annoying events in before just to kind of tire you out a bit. But even were the sacks, what were they, 330 pounds?
Both of them were 300 pounds.
Okay. And then didn't they have to
carry
on the wheelbarrow?
No, they did not lower the weight that I know of.
Okay.
They didn't. Yeah.
Because it
was still 800 pounds in our hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys weren't managing that, were they?
Yeah. There was a handful of guys that couldn't move the wheelbarrow. Like, I don't think anybody couldn't load the sandbag. Like Gabe, he was having Gabe Pena, he was having some troubles with his hips, and knees, during the competition. Just something weird happened, and his hips gave out on him because on the first sandbag, and the guys, they helped go and pick him up, but he still finished the sandbag. He powered through it.
Well, it just, I mean, I said before the show that I thought the Shore Classic, in terms of the athlete lineup and events, was brilliant. We had 16 great guys there, 8 brutal events. That's a tough show to win. And you could really see it. I mean, the athletes were struggling, weren't they?
Yeah, they were struggling towards the end. It was, probably it's heavier than the Arnold now. It definitely, we had 2 max events, all the squat went up because of just some technical issues. We couldn't, Brian couldn't find exact vehicle as the one he first found. And the owner of the dealership gave him his one that was a little bit heavier than the other vehicle, so they just had to make the whole event heavier. So it was, everything was super heavy. We had 2 max events. Even the loading medley, usually they have it light and just, who's the fastest? No, it was even the arm over arm pull was, brutally heavy, 700 pounds.
And it was a heavy set of stones as well. I mean,
it's not the heaviest set of stones, but it was definitely heavy. It was
how heavy was the first stone?
It was either 330 or 360, and the last one was 450.
And you compare that to the Giants Live stones at the moment, they're finishing on about 400.
Yeah.
So it's what I mean. I made a comment saying your run was really fast, but I think what was it, around the 30 seconds mark? Something?
Yeah, I got 28 seconds.
28 seconds, whereas we're seeing, Tom Stoltman blast through in 16 seconds. Some guys do 17 or 18 seconds in some other shows, but people don't always understand that it's a different set of stones. Some are heavier, some are more awkward. So you can only go on who's competing that day, and you'd seen some good stone lifters go, and then you came and smashed them all.
Yeah, stones are my bread and butter. I beat Novikov on the stone off. It's just a little more endurance on it. I've back in last year, I got the opportunity of doing the max Atlas Stone World Records, and just like a technical issue again, like that's usually my problem. I don't have a coach to tell me don't do that, stupid. Like I didn't. What happened? I used the wrong tacky, and like it just came. All the tacky came off onto the stone. Nothing was left on my arms, and me pissed. I went back and got some good tacky, and I was out of the competition, but they already moved on to the 600, and I was able to lap it, but wasn't able to actually load it over the bar at the. This was 2020 Arnold's. Yeah.
Cool.
Was when Tom broke the first time the record.
Would you like an opportunity to go against Tom on like a real heavy stone off?
I mean, they were definitely hoping I would do that at this World's Strongest Man, since we're in the same group again. I mean, we would probably be there all day.
I was going to say, who would give up first?
Yeah. Tom, maybe Tom will just get bored for me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Tom physically is so blessed with stones. I don't mean this, in a negative way, but you're more normal in terms of physique.
If you could say that.
Yeah,
Tom, like he's very tall and he has long arms, so he's almost built for stones, like you said. And like I do have long arms myself, but like I also have a long torso compared to my body. So I've had to work really hard just to, especially deadlifts when in my early age, to get good at, build up that lower back.
You've made great progress because there's no like obvious weakness anymore.
The only one is grip, but
But other than that, I mean, 8 events out of the 8 events, 7 of them you performed brilliantly in.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you believe going into the show that you would go in there to win?
I always go in competitions, thinking I can win. Anything can happen at the competition, and like, I'm like you said, like I try and perform evenly over all the events. I don't try and specialize in static strength or anything. Even though my grip is weak, I still train farmers handles and all that stuff. I don't just throw it to the wayside and train all the other events.
Sure. Yeah. If that grip gets strong, then everyone's in trouble. Because
I just got to find the secret.
When I was watching and hearing the results and stuff, when I saw you drop the points on the medley, and I think JF went into the stones a fair few places ahead of you, didn't he? Yeah,
I think I dropped down. Like I don't really pay too close attention in the competition, and they usually get rid of all this stuff like at the end of the competition. But I think I dropped down to 3rd place behind Brian going into the stones, and it was just maybe 4 or 5 points.
So were you thinking about winning, or was it just you want to win the stones?
Yeah, I was going in, everybody saying, yeah, you need to win the stones. And it's like, yeah, since I'm so good at it, I have to, prove it. And I was saying, like, last year at the Brian Shaw Classic, it was a 6-stone run, like a little heavier, it was his personal stones. Like Brian beat me by 1 second on last year at his first Shaw Classic. So it's like, I got to at least beat Brian. Yeah. Get my revenge.
It looked like obviously a brutal comp, but it looked like you guys got looked after really well from what we've seen on social media. Tell us what it was like just being a part of that show, because it's becoming bigger every year. Hopefully it's going to continue to grow. How was it as an athlete?
Oh, as an athlete, it was, amazing. Like Brian, brought in, the best chiropractor for strongman, Dr. Todd McDougall, and like one of physical therapist Becky Wilson.
I've met them both before. They're really lovely people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They've been in the sport for years and years, and they know what the athletes need. And like even Brian, he even brought in like IV people. I think it was Fight On is the company name. Fight On. He gave everybody before the competition, and even during the competition, we were allowed to have hydration like IVs.
Cool.
So no one would be cramping up at that high altitude, even though it's not hot or anything like technically, but at the high altitudes you sweat more, and it just evaporates quicker. Yeah. And so, he gave that to everybody. They took care of us. He gave us free food, this and that,
Brilliant. It's like literally everyone saying they had an amazing time there. It's awesome to see that the athletes are being looked after well, and you don't expect anything less from one of the best athletes of all time, I guess.
Yeah, he knows what he wants, so he wants to provide that for all his athletes too. And like earlier, he does want to make this a bigger and bigger competition. Make the bigger venue, more spectators to make the fans happy.
Yeah. No, I love watching it. I think I would like to see it live, if I'm honest. But that's and I think if I was an athlete, I would probably think different, because when we're there competing, you're just soaking up the experience. You've got the live reaction from the crowd there, but it was very weird having to wait for results as a fan.
Yeah,
I found that strange, but I think other than that, I thought it was a brilliant competition. Events were brilliant. Athletes were brilliant. Great to see how much the people there enjoyed it. And, great hearing your thoughts on it as well. So hopefully it continues to grow and get bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm. I just expect it to get bigger and bigger. But like the people that say they want to see it live streamed and everything, like they want to see World's Strongest Man streamed live, like, you've been to World's Strongest Man many times. Like, there's so much downtime.
World's Strongest Man's a little different because it's so much slower paced, I think.
Yes, they film everything, and it's all that. But like, I kind of see Brian Shaw could do it live because it was ran so quickly this year.
Yeah,
there was maybe 20 minutes between events, give or take. I didn't time it, but that he could do it live if he wanted to.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to Brian about it, but that's we didn't get you on here to talk about how we make the sport better. It's all about you. Your career is kind of just taking off brilliantly. And now you've got I think I've seen you've had a few invites to some of the Giants live shows over in the UK.
Yes, sir. After I won the Shaw Classic, they invited me to the Glasgow competition, and then the UK Arnold UK.
Awesome. That looks like a hell of a lineup, that show.
Yeah, it's gonna good events. Like the Arnold, like it's 2 grip events. But I don't complain about the events. Just trying to get better and do it.
And that's a great thing. You want to try and keep challenging yourself in many different ways, but you've got a major win under your belt now. So what's next for you? What's the next goal?
Next goal, just maybe next year win World's Strongest Man. Keep doing the Shaw Classic. That's gonna just get bigger and bigger. Win that next year too.
There's a lot of big shows now. The opportunities are getting, you see the Rogue Invitational coming up. That's going to be a big show. Arnold is supposed to be back next year. There's a lot of big shows to do. So there's lots of opportunities as athletes now.
Yeah, like everything's just getting bigger. There's the WUS in Dubai, and there's like you said, the Arnold's. Not sure if I'm going to do those anytime. Like, depends on if they're actually going to have the competition or not. Like all the politics stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
You just focus on training hard and getting better. I mean, talking about your training, you did the Wus Feats of Strength, the 400 kilo deadlift reps last year.
Yes, sir.
And I was watching that. I was commentating on it, obviously, and you just did it on your own. You were like a trendsetter. The loading your own weights, it kind of inspired the Wus guys to make people load their own weights at one of their comps. Although that obviously got messed up. But you always train on your own, or was it just
like
happened to be that day?
Yeah, I always train by myself. I'm trying. Like I have a off and on guy right now, but that just started recently. Like he's off and on, kind of does his own thing really whenever he's training with me. But going in that deadlift attempt, it was I was kind of dealing with a couple of issues, and I was definitely expecting to get at least 5, based on my training going up to that. But it was so quick turnaround from what I was doing in training, and then not even knowing I was going to get an opportunity to do it, and then just like, hey man, do you want to do this? And it's like, of course I want. I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, of course.
It's like, all right, let's do this, let's do that, and just so quick turnaround of knowing I was going to get the opportunity, and actually you have to do it this day. Couldn't really find anybody to do that. Well, all my friends, all the Strongman friends says you should have just called me, and it's like I've flown down there, and it's like I didn't really want to do that.
Yeah, I get that. You don't want to sort of put people out sometimes, do you?
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, fair play to you for taking it on that short notice and just setting it up all on your own, because it couldn't have been easy.
No, and definitely my training does take a little bit longer than what we were doing, warm up, but, I was just, warm up, take a quick break, and then, do train for it, to take the next lift. But, I usually have, fans going, trying to in that hot garage, but we was like, hey, we got to keep it quiet, for the cameras. And it was like, all right, just suck it up and do it.
Has that been kind of a bit of a weird transition, kind of getting used to being in front of cameras and stuff like that, doing interviews? I know these big shows, you've had a few now, but first time people go to Worlds, doing all that behind the scenes stuff can really throw people off because they just want to focus on the competition. But these big shows, we need all the promotional side of it. Was that a bit weird at first, or?
It's definitely getting a little bit easier. It was, I'm more of a quiet person, so it's just, I don't tell people about this, that, or just, I don't think about like, why do you do this? And like, I don't know, I just do it. And it's just
that's the worst question when they say, so why do you do this? I sit there and like, I don't know anymore. Been doing it so long ago. It's become part of what I do. But we enjoy it at the end of the day, don't we?
Yeah, exactly.
I think they want you.
But the promotional stuff is getting a little bit easier for me to, talk in front of the camera.
Good. Well, people love to see what you're doing, and the better you get now, winning big shows, placing top 4 at Worlds, you're going to go on and do more and more. People are going to want to see more of you because you are now going to be talked as a legitimate contender for World's Strongest Man. So does that kind of put pressure on your back, or do you like it?
I like it. People are finally recognizing all the hard work I put in. Like at one of the Q&As we did for the Shaw Classic, guy came up to me and it's just like I didn't know who you were until last year, Shaw Classic, and he's like, well, I did 2 World Strongest Man before this. Don't watch that.
It's amazing that we're starting to get more and more fans coming into sport and seeing and recognizing what people are doing. So it's good, and you will kind of continue to grow because you're just too good not to. It's a nice position to be in, but you're in a very competitive era. I think there's a lot of you that are all extremely good right now that can all beat each other. Yeah,
we're all really close together on events and everything. Like it comes down to little mistakes here and there, and just training coming up into the bench. It's really competitive. And, it's just slowly built up here in America. Like there's so many competitions here in Texas, for the amateurs, and just we getting such a wide field of people that want to do.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? I think we've lost you. Oh, you're back?
Yeah, I think you froze up.
Yeah, that's all right. I was going to say, who do you see as sort of the main opposition? Is there like a few guys that you kind of look at and think they're the guys I need to beat, or do you just focus on you getting better?
Like, I always focus on me getting better, but like in competitions, like there's, like for America, there's Bobby Thompson and Evan Singleton that they're really coming up. I still think of Brian as a huge competitor. He still came in second at his own competition.
Brian's one of the best ever to do this.
Mm-hmm. He's still the GOAT, or people say, people can argue. Like I said this in the interview at Shaw, like him and Big Z are the GOATs of today's age, of competitors. You can't really deny either or, but in the comp, I really try and focus on myself, but I can't like ignore the other competitors.
Sure. No, I think you're doing amazing, buddy. Really. I mean, Liz had you picked for the top 3. I must admit, I had you kind of 4th or 5th, but you proved me wrong, and she's smug about it. So, but it was just awesome to see. I mean, you've been doing better and better, and I remember that first comp against you, and it was, I only just sneaked it, and you've improved a hell of a lot since then. And I'm sure you're going to go on to win many international shows, mate. So keep working hard. If people want to find your training and stuff, where about you're on Instagram, aren't you?
Yes, sir. I'm on Instagram mostly, like Berserker Lifter, BERSERKER Lifter.
Where does that come from? Then is it that
like name? It's kind of like a. I get angry when I lift. Normally I'm kind of cool, laid back, and when you're, just get to the competition when you're lifting, you gotta, flip that switch and go to, gotta get angry.
I love that, because you're a big friendly teddy bear sat here now, and I was very similar. I just kind of tried to actually, people that didn't know me thought I was an aggressive, horrible person because I'd be there with beating myself with a stick or something. But it does help when you're trying to lift the huge weights, just getting into that zone, doesn't it? But then
you don't really smile when you're doing the heavy deadlift. Maybe at the top, but not as you're doing it.
Your deadlift's getting better and better. I mean, you pulled some big numbers at the Shaw Classic as well, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Like going into it, at the 11. Like I obviously got that, and it's like, let's go even heavier. They chose the 1155. Just a little bit out of my range at the moment.
Yeah, keep working hard, man. You keep improving. So who knows how far you're going to go? But to win the Shaw Classic, you can win any show on the planet. It's going to be competitive. There's so many good guys, but you're going to be talked about now as one of the guys that is potentially going to win World's Strongest Man. So best of luck. I look forward to seeing you when you come over to the UK.
Yes, sir.
Everybody.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
The one and only Trey Mitchell. While you're here, guys, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my awesome strength content.